You know anger doesn't arise out of nowhere. It's a reflection, an echo of old wounds, pain that settled in and asked for care but was never heard. This anger is not just emotion, it's accumulated resistance. When you feel it, explode, scream, shut down, lose control, it's because something deeper is at play. Stick to the facts. What triggers this anger? The other person. Disregards, lies, ignores, and you suffer, wait, justify, sustain. This cycle repeats, and the anger grows. With each new offense, it feeds. You call it impulses, but the truth is, you're burying something bigger. The pain has never been just about what happened. It's about what wasn't said, what wasn't done. It's easy to blame the other, but what have you done to change this? You remain in expectation, waiting for change to come from outside. But while you maintain that position, anger becomes your companion. Standing still is also a decision, and it won't turn your pain into resolution. It only perpetuates resentment. This reality is simple. Anger is a sign, not a destination. The choice is yours now. You can continue accumulating resentment or start transforming it into a decision. Only you can decide what you truly want. Because hidden pain doesn't disappear on its own. Anger is a response to a mismatch, a warning that insists on being heard, but you prefer to ignore it. When it accumulates, it builds a wall. You feel isolated even among people. The heat of indignation turns into a hood, covering your vulnerability. Meanwhile, life unfolds. The routine continues, the days pass, and you get lost in these vicious cycles of self-deception. The other plays their role. They don't perceive, they don't care. And you react. The pattern repeats itself. But there's one detail you ignore. Anger is not just about the other person. It's about you. Every unspoken word, every neglected gesture, every moment you felt invisible, all of this feeds the flame that burns inside you. It's not just what they do, it's what you allow. And this permission is a silent agreement with pain. You may think you're brave for enduring, but in truth it's a choice for stagnation. While you wait for the other person to change, your own essence is fading away, and that wound, which could be healed, turns into an abyss. The echo of anger reverberates through your mind. You see yourself reflected in this internal struggle. And when you explode, it's not just the other person who bears the brunt, you carry it too. And with that, guilt also seeps in, creating an even deeper cycle. What happens when anger becomes your reflection? You start projecting this frustration onto other aspects of life. Relationships crumble, work becomes a burden, small incidents are magnified, and you start to lose control. Instead of confronting what's inside, you seek escape valves. You make impulsive decisions. You run away instead of facing it. And each act of rebellion turns into a chain. This revolt, which initially seemed liberating, becomes an emotional prison. You cry out for freedom, but imprison yourself in old and new resentments. The small accrued offenses take on an unbearable weight. You also become part of the system, the one who perpetuates the conflict. And when the anger finally explodes, the consequences go beyond what you imagine. The other person might walk away, but your reality remains intact. And you, behind the cutting words, feel loneliness closing in. Now, take a deep breath. A question arises. What do you really want? This is the question you've possibly never faced. You may be so fervent in seeking justice that you forget the value of self-care. Anger is not the answer. She is a warning, a disguised opportunity. How about starting to look at your own narrative? You have constructed a story where pain has become the protagonist, while your desires have stayed in the background. Instead of feeding the vicious cycle, what if you looked inward? Every small decision counts. And on this path of self-discovery, you find true strength. Make the decision not to let anger govern. This doesn't mean to suppress, but to understand. What burns is just a layer. The depth lies in your story. Look at what you've never dealt with. Anger can be a fuel, but also a chain that binds you. By accepting that change starts within you, you open up space for new possibilities. The determination to break this cycle can be terrifying because it requires courage. Courage to confront your wounds. Courage to declare that you are ready to change. With each step, you redefine what it means to be strong. Being strong is not about shouting louder, but finding calm in the turmoil. It is recognizing that anger is just a layer of your human experience. Do not let it define who you are. So, start to reframe. Free yourself from this emotional prison. Allow yourself to feel the pain, but do not stay trapped in it. Your story does not need to be written on the pages of anger. It can be a work of restoration, and the choice is before you. You are not condemned to carry this burden. You have power over your reactions. You must decide. It is not enough to listen to the anger. Listen to yourself. Stay with your truth. This is the only option that truly matters. Reality has already been presented. You may think that anger is a bogeyman, something to be feared, but deep down, it is not the problem. It is just a symptom. What is behind it? What do you really fear losing? The answer lies in vulnerability, that which you refuse to expose. When we explode, there is apparent release, but it is fleeting. The emptiness that follows is deafening. And what comes next? The same pattern. Disillusionment, self-recrimination, and the same need to protect yourself. You try to isolate yourself. The cycle starts again. Look around you. People move away. What once seemed like a strong connection turns into a dark corner. You want love, but your defense turns into armor. You want understanding, but anger turns into a wall. And so, an emotional maze is built where the exit seems farther away each day. The need for control shapes your interactions. You wait for the other to take the first step. But the truth is that while you wait, the opportunities to connect dissipate. The other does not perceive the internal battle you are fighting. They go their separate ways, while you burrow into your fears. You still believe that being strong means enduring everything without flinching. But this is a misconception. True strength lies in recognizing fragility. It's acceptable to feel fear. It's human to want comfort. However, you hide behind the facade of invulnerability, believing that it protects you. It's illusory. Anger becomes a disguised cry for help. It's a plea for change, for recognition. Each time someone ignores your needs, you harbor resentment. But who truly suffers from all this? You. Anger does not go away by itself. It accumulates like a storm ready to burst. Think about your relationships. How many times have you left unsaid what you felt? How many times have you stayed silent to avoid conflict? Silence becomes a treacherous shelter. And what happens when you finally explode? The damage is immense, and the person on the other side can offer nothing but bewilderment. You find yourself helpless, and loneliness reappears. And now you ask yourself, is this really the circle you wish to continue? The solution does not lie externally, but within you. It takes courage to look at your own reflections, to face the shadows you've masked. We need to go beyond the surface. Ask yourself, what are these feelings trying to say? Anger can make noise, but the silent voices of sadness and frustration are even more significant. Here lies the key to transformation. Unexpressed emotion becomes a poison. It consumes you, and gradually, you become a version of yourself that you don't recognize. Free yourself from this trap. If you don't let these emotions surface, what you'll see will be an echo of your own pain. And this pain, if not faced, will continue to guide your choices, often unconsciously. Anger doesn't have to be the final point. It can become a path to understanding. Instead of allowing it to guide you, start formulating questions. What is this teaching me? How can I use this energy productively? This is the moment to rewrite the narrative. Life is not made of a single chapter. It is a succession of interconnected stories. You have the opportunity to rewrite yours, not by ignoring the pain, but by acknowledging it. You can choose how to react. You can opt to use anger as a warning signal, a red flag indicating that something needs to change. Every small emotion counts. Every choice you make today will impact your tomorrow. Instead of succumbing to emotional storms, seek the reason behind them. What is hidden beneath the surface? It's difficult, I know. Looking inside can be terrifying, but it is also an act of freedom. You wonder if it's worth the risk, and the answer is yes. Because staying stuck in a cycle of resentment only brings more pain. The cost of inaction turns out to be much higher than the price of change. And what if you started to value small steps? Every moment of self-care, every instant of reflection, every pause to breathe. This is not weakness, this is strength. Your story can be different, one where you recognize yourself. Where anger is not the protagonist, but rather a supporting character in the quest for inner peace. This change depends on you. Decide whether you will continue to carry the burden or choose to release it. Don't forget, you are not alone. Thousands of other stories intertwine with yours. Everyone faces internal battles. Everyone fights against their own shadows. And it is this recognition, that can create empathy not just with others but with yourself. Listen to what your anger has to say, but don't let it take control of the narrative. You already have the necessary tools, and the change starts now. Awaken this awareness and allow yourself to be more than the sum of your emotions. The reality has already been presented. You need to understand that anger is a powerful signal, but it is not the only one. There is a web of intertwined emotions that you ignore while focusing on this one aspect: fear, insecurity, helplessness. Your perspective is limited to this burning flame, while other inner voices beg for attention. Every emotion has its purpose, its reason for existing. And inside you there is a silent battlefield. You do not allow yourself to feel the fear that emerges, the fear of losing what you consider valuable. When someone disrespects you or ignores your needs, anger appears as a defense. It's the armor you wear to face the world, but this armor is actually heavy and uncomfortable. With each frustrating interaction, you accumulate resentments that transform into an invisible monster. This monster feeds on the silence you insist on maintaining, and at the same time, it whispers lies. You are not worthy of being heard. If you speak up, you will lose everything. These lies grow, gaining shape and strength, until a moment comes when you explode. And what remains after that? A deafening echo of unspoken words, unperformed actions, the emptiness. When you finally allow yourself to feel, you will realize that these emotions are more than just simple reactions. They are expressions of your untold story, of your suppressed truth. Each moment of anger can also be an opportunity for connection with yourself. Look within and question, what does this really mean to me? Why am I so upset about this? Visualize the pain as fertile ground. Instead of letting it turn into poison, you can cultivate it. Transform these emotions into something that promotes growth. By removing the mask of anger, you will see what lies behind it. And often it's not just hurt, it's love, hope, a desire to be understood. You want your relationships to be healthy, but how can you expect others to respond to your needs without expressing them? This expectation only perpetuates your frustration, because the truth is, they can't guess what you feel. They aren't aware of the emotional storms happening internally. And so, you remain within this bubble, suffocating your true emotions, mistakenly believing that this is self-protection. Look around you. Human interactions are a reflection of what is happening inside you. Healthy relationships require vulnerability, so make room for this fragility. Don't be afraid to say, I feel this. By doing so, you begin to free not just yourself, but also those around you. You encourage communication, empathy, mutual understanding. However, it's easy to stay in the comfort zone of anger. It provides justification, a reason not to go further. Anger at its core is alluring. It promises power, control, a sense of justice that seems immediate. But what about tranquility? What about understanding? These don't come with yelling. They come with honest dialogues, with the willingness to listen and be heard. Change requires courage. Courage to let go of the anger you have so diligently nurtured. Do not eliminate it, but transform it. Let it serve as a beacon. Instead of explosions, seek dialogues. Communicate openly. Express yourself. If you don't say it, the message gets lost. Think of the times you stayed silent. What did it cost you? Which relationships suffered because of your silence? Each time you close yourself off, a part of you gets lost in the process. And, by getting stuck in this cycle, you create an identity based on reacting to pain. What happens when you decide to open up? What happens when you decide that pain will no longer define who you are? You connect, not just with others, but also with yourself. This is the key to the transition. Transformation does not come from anger, but from vulnerability, from the willingness to expose yourself. And this, in turn, opens new doors, new connections, new ways of seeing the world. The emotions you have inside you are complex, a patchwork of past experiences. Instead of allowing them to become a burden, let them be your guide. Instead of turning anger into isolation, allow it to be a starting point for deeper understanding. In dealing with these feelings, you not only transform your own narrative, but also that of those around you. If you do this honestly, there is an impact. Others begin to notice. And even though the change starts with you, it reverberates. With every step you take towards authenticity, you compose a new emotional symphony. Do not rush in the search for the solution. Every small step is an essential part of the journey. Acknowledge what you feel. Understand the root of these emotions and allow yourself to live fully, knowing that anger is just a chapter of your story, a piece of the puzzle, not the whole. And this in itself is powerful. You do not need to be dominated by it. You can rewrite your script, shape your reality. And so, the choice presents itself once again. You can continue to hide, or you can start confronting the truth. There is no power in denial. True power lies in self-reflection, in the willingness to look within and recognize that you have the ability to change. And that is already a significant advance. Reality has already been presented.